Ethanol, high-octane, cleaner, renewable fuel. What is ethanol? Ethanol is a renewable resource that comes from corn and other plant-based matter known as biomass. Ethanol is present in a wide variety of products ranging from 98% of the United States gasoline and alcoholic drinks. Where does ethanol all begin? Ethanol's beginning stages comes from corn and other plant matter such as sugarcane and sugar beets. How do we get ethanol? Within one of the two processes. The dry mill process begins with the grain grounded into a powder-like substance and then soaked in water, making mash-like consistency. Enzyme components are added to convert the starch into sugar. The mash is then heated to a boil, cooled, and then fermented. After fermentation, the alcohol is separated. Ethanol is then able to be distilled and dehydrated and then blended with a denaturing agent to complete the process. The second process is called the wet mill process. The process begins by soaking the grains in separate components. After soaking, the new mixture is moved through a set of grinders, separating the corn embryo of the kernel from the rest. The gluten and starch left behind continue in the separation process, where the gluten product is then dried into animal feed, with the remaining starch being fermented into ethanol. Continued development of ethanol production. Ethanol production has declined majorly during the pandemic and has still not reached pre-pandemic levels. First-generation ethanol production is implemented widely on an industrial scale, while second-generation ethanol is still in the development stages. Ethanol impact on the carbon footprint. Ethanol is an effective alternative and has the ability to reduce harmful emissions of air pollution significantly. Ethanol reduces the carbon emissions by 30 to 50%. The carbon released when burning ethanol is counter-corrected by the carbon dioxide consumed during the growth phase of crops. Economic effects of ethanol. The many steps within production allows for many job opportunities in rural areas that lack new job openings. The Renewable Funds Association shows ethanol brought about 79,000 directly related jobs, $34.8 billion in household income, and $57 billion of gross domestic products. The Biomass Group Crop Assistance Program offers up to 50% of reimbursement on the cost of producing crops from ethanol, provided that producers supply high-quality biomass feedstock. In addition, participating farmers receive annual payments as further support. Biofinery Assistance Program provides loan guarantees for the construction and retrofitting of commercial-scale biofineries that produce and advance biofuels. The next steps. The data shows a steady trend in positive direction, removing the gap between the present-day production and the pre-pandemic margin. An aspect such as new research, efficiency within production rates, and majorly would help with this continued trend. Ethanol production plan proposal. If money were not an issue to keep in mind, an increase in acreage to plant corn and other crops used to produce ethanol would help majorly. Production rates would do nothing but increase since the number of crops available at one given time would increase, while also adding in new locations for the milling process to take place would help with the milling process happening at the same rate as it is now with the increase of crops available. And citations.